welcome back to Terry's Rod Shop. Today we're going to go over basic prep and sanding mold lines and getting ready for paint. So follow along as I go over what needs to be done. Okay, so here we are with the engine that we had glued together last week. Now if you take it, you can take your file here that I got at Micromark, and you sand down where it glues together. Then once you get that sanded, you take some 400 grit and smooth it down, get rid of some of the deep sand scratches, and then that's sanded. And then there was some letters stamped in here, and I took my seam scraper and scraped them so they were all gone, and then took some 400 grit sandpaper and sanded over the spots where I had sanded them down. And this is part of the chassis that part of this gets painted gray, so I cut it off the sprue, and I'm going to prep it for paint, and next week we're going to be painting. Now, your roll cages come molded with lines on the roll cage, and what you do, you can take your line and you take your seam scraper and scrape up that line to get rid of it. And then after you've done that, you take your 400 grit sandpaper again and you sand over where you scraped, get it nice and smooth, and then it's ready for primer and paint. Now in this kit, I normally would not build this way, but since I'm doing this for display reasons or for video reasons to make it simplify it, I'm going to build it basically bone stock. Now on this kit, these headers come open on the back, which they shouldn't be that way. I would normally fill that and prep it and primer it and paint it, but since I'm just doing it box stock, I'm not adding nothing. You just take and you cut off with your razor blade where you cut it off the tree, and then you do the same thing with these header pipes. You see your seams, you rub over your seams, then you take your sandpaper and you sand it smooth and get it ready for paint. And now once I get all this done, everything prepped and ready, you wash it with water and dishwashing soap, and you let it air dry, and then you take it to wherever you paint, outside, paint booth, whatever. Depends on what the temperature is next week, how we're going to do that. But I got a paint booth to paint in the wintertime, or I have a garage I paint in outside. Then you just go through all your parts and you sand them and get the mold lines off and prep them for paint. And then next week we will paint everything and then go from there.